Thank you. So welcome to all of you, Governor Northam, family, friends, colleagues, and distinguished guests. I am deeply touched that you're all here, though I have to confess that this is all slightly surreal and a tad overwhelming. Given the gowns and the pageantry, the gathering of basically everyone I've ever known, and the wildly unrealistic things being said about me, I have to say this feels a little bit like a cross between a funeral and a wedding. You are here to celebrate the inauguration, which is really a celebration of both the University of Virginia and the long tradition of higher education as represented by the delegates from colleges and universities near and far, for which I'm grateful. But if you'll indulge me, I'd like to note another occasion and another cause for celebration, more personal to me. This is the very first occasion where my birth family is meeting my adoptive family. There's a longer story there. I'll tell a little bit about this story tomorrow at the Double Take storytelling session. For now, I'd just like to acknowledge and thank both my Aunt Lynn, who is the matriarch of my extended adoptive family, and Anne, my birth mother. I owe a great deal to you both, and I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm also grateful for the work of the presidents who have preceded me, most recently Terry Sullivan, John Castine, and Bob O'Neill. Bob passed away recently, and I'd like to acknowledge his leadership as well as the many kindnesses he showed to me when we were colleagues at the law school. I'm equally grateful to the Board of Visitors, including the Rector, Rusty Connor, the Vice Rector, Jim Murray, and former Rector, Bill Goodwin, for the trust they've placed in me and the remarkable support they've afforded my family and me. I'm beyond grateful to my wife, Katie, and our 4 kids for their willingness to embark on this adventure. And last but not least, I'm thankful for the countless hours put in by all who have worked on this event. It's a privilege to serve this university with all of you. My only regret is that my parents, Jim and Sheila Ryan, and my law school roommate and dear friend, Doug Kendall, who have passed away, are not here. They would have loved this celebration. They would have also told me to get on with it already, so I will. So one piece of advice I received was not to make this speech a sermon. So today I'd like to talk about faith. More precisely, I'd like to talk about faith in the unfinished project, and even more precisely, faith in the unfinished project of our university. Now, it might seem incongruous to talk about faith in the shadow of the rotunda, the centerpiece of our university, designed intentionally by Thomas Jefferson as a library, and meant to distinguish the secular basis of UVA from the religious basis of most other universities at the time. But the faith I'd like to discuss is of the secular variety. It's the faith of the Emily Dickinson poem, the peerless bridge supporting what we see unto the scene that we do not. It's the faith that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. described as taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. It's the faith of a parent when you realize there's no instruction manual, no guarantee that you're doing right by your children or that things will turn out, even if you are. Yet you remain buoyed by the faith that if you love your children enough, if you give them your time and attention and support, you'll help them find their path in the world. You know they will always be, like all of us, an unfinished project. But you also know that you will never lose faith in that project that is your child. That, in a sense, is what it means to be a parent. The faith I have in mind is also the faith of the runner. When you rise on a cold winter morning and head out into the darkness with little else but faith. Faith that your training will pay off, and that at some point in your run, the sun will rise to signal the new day. You don't know what's ahead exactly, but you get up anyway, you lace up your shoes, and you get started. have to do with universities, and ours in particular. In other words, how much faith do you have that this speech is going somewhere at this point? In reality, the answer is simple. Universities are committed to the truth and demand proof, to be sure. But they also rest on precisely the kind of faith I've just described. To conduct research, for example, is to have faith in the power of discovery even before the discovery has been made. Research itself is the peerless bridge of the Dickinson poem, which supports what we see but carries us to the scene that we do not. To begin research is to take the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase, to lace up your shoes and head out into the darkness, faithful that you'll emerge into the light of day. To teach is to have the faith of a parent, knowing that you're helping to prepare students not just for their careers, but for their full lives as friends, parents, spouses, partners, and citizens. Is to have faith that students will emerge not only smarter, but wiser from their time here, more prepared for life, but also more curious than when they arrived. To be a student is to have faith that even if you wait until the last minute to write that paper, it will get done well. This is what we might call misplaced faith. More seriously, to be a student is to have faith, perhaps only dimly realized at the time, that what you learn and the relationships you build will enrich your life in countless ways. To be on the staff here, as I am, is to have faith that your work matters, to believe in the importance of our mission, and that what we do is critical to its success. Our doctors and nurses share the faith that their training will allow them to heal the sick and mend the injured. Parents of our students have faith that we will keep their children safe and help them grow. And our alumni have faith that while we must adapt to meet today's challenges and to prepare our students for a changing world, the fundamental values of this unique institution will remain constant. What stitches these acts of faith together is a profound belief in the future, and more precisely, in the idea of progress. This is the grand faith of universities and those who participate in them. Faith in the possibility of progress. Progress towards a more prosperous, healthier, just, and peaceful society. And progress toward lives that are more meaningful, purposeful, and passionate. This is not, or should not be, a blind faith, but instead a realistic one, even a critical one. It's a faith that understands that progress is rarely linear, it's often messy, and it's sometimes impossible to fully grasp in the moment. To adhere to this faith, to practice it, requires an honest assessment of the past and the present, because this is the only way to measure progress. It requires that we acknowledge the sins of our past, starting with the fact that slaves built these grounds. That we recognize with requisite humility Thomas Jefferson's brilliance and his brutality. That we acknowledge this university's role in promoting eugenics and the fact that African Americans weren't fully welcome here until the 1950s and women until the 1970s. We must also identify with courage and resolve the gaps that still exist today between our aspirations and our realities. At the same time, we should just as readily celebrate the fact that today, the majority of our students are women, that over 400 first years are first-generation students, and that our newest class is the most diverse in UVA history and hails from 43 states and 82 countries. That's progress, even as our work remains unfinished. We should also recognize and celebrate the fact that members of our community have advanced the common good in countless and profound ways. Our health system, for example, improves the lives of hundreds of thousands of patients every year. Our faculty and alumni collectively have discovered the Higgs boson particle and the vaccine for yellow fever. They've mapped the human genome, served as a country's poet laureate, brought clean water to the developing world, found the link between the brain and the immune system, built tools to help detect infections in premature infants, broadened our understanding of black holes in the Milky Way, served as governors and senators, and won Nobel Prizes in medicine, economics, literature, and peace for their work. Our athletes have won national championships and gold medals, and our artists have earned Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tony Awards, inspiring the world with their grace, their wit, and their grit. And then there's the possibility of progress yet to come. Today, faculty and students from across the university are working together to address some of our most pressing challenges: curing diabetes and macular degeneration, better understanding autism, making self-driving cars safer, tracing the origins of religious discrimination, examining how artificial intelligence and social media are changing the way we interact, using hip-hop to examine the expression and repression of black voices in America, and studying why democratic institutions succeed or fail and how we can strengthen them. This is just a small sample of the remarkable progress made at, by, and through this university. Yet while proof of progress is abundant, it's not always easy to maintain faith in its continued march. Our faith as a community has certainly been tested over the years by fires, riots, and floods, and by various crises in recent years. We are also in a moment of deep skepticism and great turbulence in higher education. And there have been times when some may have wondered whether we were losing our footing, if not our way. I confess that in this regard, I maintain the strong faith of a parent. I know this project we call the University of Virginia is not finished and never will be. I know it's not perfect, and it never can be. But I believe in its fundamental goodness. I believe in its ability to be even better than it is now. I see the brilliance, the kindness, the decency, and the progress every day as I walk across the grounds and spend time with the students, faculty, and staff with whom I'm lucky enough to share this journey. I know the magic of this place. The feeling of walking the lawn at sunset and standing on top of humpback rocks at dawn, of getting a hug from Miss Kathy at Newcomb and a high five from the cabman, of hearing a concert in Old Cabell Hall or a lecture in Now Hall that changes the way you hear and see the world. It's the feeling of meeting people who challenge and support you all at once. It's sometimes the feeling of eating a late-night Gus burger and waking up the next morning wondering why you ate that late-night Gus burger. So it's not all magical. But it is this indescribable yet unforgettable collection of experiences, ideas, friendships, discoveries, traditions, settings, sights, and sounds that thrill and inspire students and lead many of us to a lifelong love affair with this place, this institution, this community. I can't promise you much, but I can promise that I will never give up on this unfolding and unfinished project that is our university, for the simple reason that I cannot give up on people I love. That's what it means to be a parent, as I've said. It's also, I believe, what it means to be a president. Now, before you get worried, let me say I don't mean to suggest I think of all of you as my children. Katie and I are all set in that regard. Speaking of which, hi Phoebe, Ben, Will, and Sam. This is me keeping my promise that I do at least one thing to embarrass you during this speech. Love you. In comparing parenting to being the president, I mean only to suggest that I feel what others who love this place feel, and that's a deep sense of responsibility. The University of Virginia is, in a sense, as is often said, Mr. Jefferson's university. But it is also, even more so, your university. It's our university. Jefferson himself wrote that the earth belongs to the living. So too does this university, which means it's our responsibility to preserve what is best about this place and to shape its future with boldness and creativity. And this is where all of you come in. I've had the good fortune to speak with many of you about your hopes for the future of UVA. And on my first day in office, we launched a website entitled Ours to Shape, which invited members of our community to share their ideas organized around 3 themes: community, discovery, and service. These themes are foundational to our university. They have animated our past, they help define our present, and I believe they hold the key to our future. My sincere thanks go to all of you who have participated in these conversations and have offered your thoughts about how we can strengthen our community and better promote both discovery and service. I have to say your suggestions have left me teeming with ideas and filled with great excitement about and deep faith in what lies ahead. I'd like to leave you with a sketch of how I see our future, which rests on what I've learned from all of you. I can't say this is a full-blown vision or a finely tuned blueprint for our future. Instead, think of what follows as a set of glimpses and propositions to be tested in the months ahead as this conversation continues. At this point, here's what I see when I look ahead over the next decade or so. I see a community first and foremost that rests on an exceptionally strong moral and ethical foundation. A university that lives its values, that embraces honor and acts honorably, that studies sustainability and practices it, that promotes justice and is just, that endorses free speech and academic freedom and protects them robustly. My friend Drew Faust, from whom you just heard, often said that universities should try to be not just great, but good. I agree and actually would take it one step further. I believe that in the future, it won't be possible for a university to be great unless it is also good. I see a community that's as vibrant as it is diverse. A community bound by shared values of student self-governance and responsibility, honor and integrity, openness and civility, intellectual rigor and human compassion. A community willing to build bridges across lines of difference. A community that is not simply inclusive and equitable, but also genuinely integrated. I see a community that opens wide the door to opportunity for first-generation low and middle-income students. A community, I'm delighted to say, who earn less than $80,000 a year and have typical assets, will be able to send their children to UVA tuition-free. And we further promise Virginia families earning less than $30,000 a year that we will cover not only tuition, but also room and board. There is more work to be done in this space. There will be more work done in this space, but we might as well get started. I see a community that helps our faculty become the very best teachers they can be. A community that embraces innovation in teaching and sees technology as a way to enhance our pedagogy and extend our reach. But at the same time, this community never forgets that the human interactions among our faculty and students in class and out are the heart and soul of this place. I see a community that understands the growing importance of engineering, computer science, and data science, but one that also recognizes that the liberal arts are a vital part of this university, and that preparing students to be ethical citizen leaders requires exposure to the enduring and profound questions encountered in the humanities, basic sciences, and social sciences. I see a university that's a strong partner and good neighbor with our surrounding communities. A university that tries to model the beloved community of which Dr. King spoke. One that is bound by the fair treatment of all, especially those most vulnerable, including our own lowest paid workers. I see a community of alumni who are even more engaged with the life of this university and whose connection with this place begins during their time on grounds, but continues to blossom over time. I see a faculty as diverse as it is outstanding, and one that continues to contribute to the remarkable growth in research in recent years. A faculty that is easily able to work across the traditional boundaries of department, school, or discipline in order to bring their collective expertise to bear on the world's most pressing challenges. I see the creation of a new crossroads for the university at the 14-acre site that begins at the intersection of Emmett and Ivy Road, where the Cavalier Inn was recently demolished. This parcel of land is as large as the academical village surrounding you. It's a parcel that invites us to reimagine, as Jefferson did in his day, what a university could look like. I see an equally vibrant presence in Northern Virginia for our business and medical schools, as well as new academic ventures that take advantage of that location. I see a university even more global than it is today, one that offers every student a real opportunity to have at least one international experience before graduating. I see a university that prepares students for a life of purpose and service, regardless of their chosen careers. At the same time, I see a university that continues to serve the Commonwealth and beyond through outstanding medical care, economic and workforce development, the cultivation of entrepreneurs, and a robust array of affordable and accessible continuing education programs. I see a strong, mission-driven College of Wise and deeper connections between our campus at Wise and our faculty and students on the grounds in Charlottesville. I see a flourishing of the arts and an athletic program that is successful on the field and off, and one that offers the best student-athlete experience in the country. I see in particular a football team that upsets a nationally ranked opponent from Miami. We'll check that off our list. To bring this to a close, the University of Virginia is considered the Commonwealth's flagship university. This is not a formal designation, and it can mean different things in different states. But in most places, it connotes some degree of excellence and prestige. My favorite description referred to flagships as world-class institutions with a heart. This is the way I like to think of UVA, and if you ask me what I see when I look ahead, I see a university that's considered not only Virginia's flagship, but our nation's. One that represents what's best about our country's higher education system. One that's both excellent and accessible. One that's driven by the wonder of basic discovery and a commitment to the public good. A university dedicated to strengthening our democracy and making the world a better place. A university, a community, prepared to be different from others, just as this university was when it first began. So different, in fact, that it, like today, drew visitors from Harvard who were curious to learn what we were doing here. I see, finally, a community that has been thrust into the national spotlight and refuses to shrink from it. A community that understands the extraordinary opportunity we have to light a path forward, not just for ourselves, but for a fraction of my faith in all of you. If we're able to realize part of what I've sketched, I have faith that we'll be an even stronger university than we are today, and we'll have done some good in the world as well. But we will forever remain an unfinished project, just as this nation, whose founding is bound with our own, will also remain unfinished. That fact should not dampen your faith, but instead strengthen your resolve. We may never be finished, but we can certainly make progress. The future awaits us, albeit impatiently, and it remains ours to shape. Friends, my running shoes are laced up. I am ready, with unfinished but glorious project that is the University of Virginia. Thank you very much.